Welcome to Amateur Reviews. I'm your host, 1HP Tom, and today we are going to review games without a script and just our opinions on what we like about the games and what we don't. So, without further ado, today's first game is Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars is a turn-based JRPG in the same vein as Super Mario RPG, Chrono Trigger, and even Paper Mario. And I would say the story is pretty good. Like, I love the story. The story, I had no expectations going in, and it kind of blew me away, because you think something's going to happen, something out of left field happens, and then they even drop hints and subtle foreshadowing that if you're not keen on picking up the foreshadowing, you're going to be mind blown by the end of it. I know that there's a lot of talk online, like on the subreddit of Sea of Stars, saying how weak the story is, but I feel like the story is one of its strongest points. That matched with this amazing combat system, which is an interactive combat system where they have locks of different abilities that each character has, and you have to break those locks so you can prevent enemies' attacks. But you can also, when you do your attacks, time the A button or the X if you're playing on PlayStation, and do extra damage depending on the enemy. There's fishing in the game, which is pretty awesome. It's not that hard to get down right. You have to be very patient at first, but there are runes, which are probably even one of the smartest things that they could do. So as a beginner, you can get into this game and make the story, streamline the story, because the combat's just a lot easier because you opted to make it easier for yourself. It's a fantastic system. I mean, overall, there's a lot of things that I want to touch on about this game, but I also want to make this short. But I think I'll start off with the story. So the story, I'm not going to go into spoilers, right? I do plan on making videos of the story and stuff. If you want to know what actually happens, you can watch it on the channel. But the premise is there's solstice warriors who are stopping the malice in the world, and those are called dwellers, and they grow and they basically kill the life on the planet, and once they get big enough, they turn into these things called world eaters after they're a dweller, and they basically terrorize the planet. These creations were created by an alchemist that went bad, and his friend, who's also an alchemist, is the one trying to prevent these things from happening. On the winter solstice, lunar characters are born. On the summer solstice, the sun characters are born, and Zale and Valerie are the main two focused. We have an interesting prologue where we're starting the adventure, and then we also go back to when they were kids and learn about their history and everything, which is really well done. You really feel like they really jam-packed everything into a sizable amount of content, because what feels like 120 hours was 35 to 40 hours if you did everything, which was really awesome. They have two acquaintances who are Graves and Erlina. They're cool at first, I'll say. They kind of have a bigger role later on, but I'm not going to go too heavy into it. But overall, the story is phenomenal. Garl grew on me, because at first I was oh, he sticks his head into everything. He's the leader of the bunch, though, so I can't really complain about that. As for the combat, though, fantastic. It really helped me get back into turn-based RPGs, because it made you want to actually care about it, right? It made you want to interact. So Valerie has this move called Boomerang, and it's like a boomerang. So when it hits the enemy, you have to time the A button when it hits Valerie so you can keep the combo going, and then it just bounces off of all the enemies. It's such a fun move, and it's probably my most favorite move to do, besides the ultimate attacks. But the ultimate attacks you don't really get access to until late game, but those are so cool too. They're very cinematic. But the interactive combat system doesn't just work for magic abilities, it works for regular normal attacks. as well, is a huge plus as well. And then the enemies have these things called locks, so if you break the locks, you can prevent the attacks, like I said earlier. But it's fantastic combat, and like even if you don't like turn-based RPGs, I feel like you could probably get behind this and have enough capacity to want to finish something like this. Now, as for the music, oh my gosh, the music is fantastic. It doesn't even matter if it's Yatsunori Masuda who's doing it, or the team at Sabotage Studios. It was phenomenal. Eric Brown, bro, you went ham, dude. Like, oh my gosh, it was awesome. Like Garl's theme, like the main theme, like that's usually around when Garl shows up. It's just so freaking cool. It gets you so hype. It gets you so in the moment. It's like na 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 na. I mean, I'll actually just play it on the video so you can hear it. It's freaking great, and it really, like, having a decent, like a pretty good story in my opinion, with amazing music, really makes you invested in what's going on. What I also want to touch on real quick is the map. The map is awesome. It reminds you of like transversing between city to city, or like city to city in like classic JRPGs. But then it also, like, as you progress in the game, you can drive a boat once you get the boat unlocked. But then it makes it even easier later on when it's like right before the final boss, which is, it's so good. The transversing is so good. But that's like the map transversing. The level transversing, oh man, there's so much stuff that's like hidden, and it's like if you only see a part of a thing, it was nuts. It's so creative, and the abilities you have, like you have like a hook shot and you can sling yourself. You have like the ability to push blocks, which is so cool too. It like really opens up the way you can explore the world, because you do have to backtrack in a way, because then you get like a hammer that can like break some glass and stuff, and it's just so creative with how they do things. And then you also gotta make sure you really pay attention to like how things are made, because there are a lot of secret holes in places, and pay attention to what NPCs say, because there was like a whole unique shop underneath the docks in the port town of Brisk, and it blew my mind. I was like, what? This is nuts. This game is fantastic. It deserves all the hype it got. It really is a 9.5 to a 10. In my opinion, I'd give it a solid 10. Like, if I had the ability and the followers, I would give this game out in a raffle giveaway type situation, because it's just that good. The physical comes out in December, as far as I know, in like Japan, but the physical in America comes out next year. If you want to play this game, please play it. It's really good, and like I really am kicking myself for not knowing about this game 3 years ago, so I could have backed it on Kickstarter, because they even have a section thanking all their backers with like a crypt. It has statues and stuff dedicated to people. It's so cool. It's such a great game. There's just so much more I could say about it, but I'm just going to be redundant if I do. So I just want to say, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. And I forgot one thing. I can't leave yet. I forgot one thing. There's this mini game inside the game called Wheels. It's a roulette thing. It's very RNG based, but it's actually pretty fun once you get the hang of it. And once you get the hang of it and you start winning pieces from all the different machines, like, you really feel good about like putting together the best combo. But you have to kind of like figure out which ones to start at and which ones to go to. That wasn't really that much of an issue. But then there's also two endings. I never even got to that. There's a regular ending, and then there's a true ending. And I really like both endings. Like, I really thought, oh wow, we're really just gonna like let this slide and whatever. That was cool. But then there was also the foreshadowing stuff that I was talking about earlier that comes into play if you collect everything. And by collect everything, I mean like there's these things called rainbow conch shells. There's 60 in the game. Gonna try to make a guide on that. Even though New Game Plus are not called rainbow conch shells, they're called alumni tokens. But I digress. It's really cool. and it really makes you feel for the characters and everything involved, because like I said, like it kind of brings you in. It makes you feel like you're there in the story, like you're in the story of a story, because it's just really cool. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Let me know down below what you think of the game, if you've played it, and if you haven't played it and you plan to play it later, let me know in the comments, because it's great. So I'm your host, 1HP Tom. Thank you for watching the first amateur review, and I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.